They are the insiders, Chris Johnson, Pierre LeBrun, and Darren Dreger. Guys, we're just over 2 years to the start of the next Winter Olympic Games. Where are we in terms of figuring out if NHL players are going to be taking part in that, Chris?
Well, as it was put to me, the All-Star Weekend is a great place to announce things. And of course, the All-Star Weekend arrives in Toronto here this week. And I do think that there is a chance we see some kind of international announcement. We know the NHL, the NHL Players Association, the IIHF have been working towards getting a package of international events, that being a limited field tournament for February 2025, the Olympics in Milan in 2026, and eventually a full-scale World Cup in 2028. And at this time, I'm told those are still a work in progress. What I can tell you is there is a call with the IIHF on Wednesday, and NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman is expected to meet the media on Friday in Toronto, and there does remain hope that there could be something to announce once he gets to the podium.
It would be nice to see it get done. All right, we're now just over 5 weeks away to the NHL trade deadline. Our trade bait board riddled with Calgary Flames, including D-man Chris Tanev. Anyone in particular showing extra interest in Tanev right now, Dregs?
Well, there's multiple teams that are in the mix, Gino, but of late, it seems to be the Ottawa Senators. I can tell you that the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Ottawa Senators most definitely have keen interest in Chris Tanev. Now, Ottawa, I think, looks at Chris Tanev as being a foundational fit, which tells us it's not about the trade, it's about the extension, the contract extension that would like to have to happen after they acquire Tanev. Now, there's lots of teams that remain interested, including non-playoff teams like the Ottawa Senators, some other contending teams as well. But as I was reminded, doesn't Chris Tanev have to make a decision? Is he chasing the Stanley Cup this year? And if the answer to that is yes, then that's going to factor significantly in his destination of choice.
And Dregs, another player maybe chasing a Stanley Cup is Sean Monahan, pending UFA center. Montreal Canadiens most likely will be dealing him, although they haven't completely closed the door on talking to him about the future and a potential extension. But all things being equal, I do think he's going to get dealt. And where it is right now, from talking to teams around the league, is that teams haven't put their best foot forward yet. There's just teams checking in, telling the Montreal Canadiens that they want to be in the mix, don't do anything without checking back with us. But teams seem to want a couple more weeks before getting more serious in their conversations with the Habs on Sean Monahan. And part of that, I think, is attached to the center market and Elias Lindholm of Calgary being at the top of it and that having some kind of impact on Monahan. The question is this: could Sean Monahan fetch a first-round pick? And from talking to a couple teams today, there are a lot of people that point to his low, less than $2 million AAV and say yes, especially if the Habs would be willing to eat 50% of that. So stay tuned, but Monahan is going to be a hot name before March 8th.
Yeah, no question about that. And look, I look at the New York Rangers as being a buyer in the trade market in an effort to bolster their Stanley Cup playoff runs and their Stanley Cup chances. A second overall pick in 2019 of the New York Rangers, Kaapo Kakko is an asset that perhaps Chris Drury, the general manager of the Rangers, considers using as trade bait. I know that multiple sources have said Drury is taking calls on Kakko. Now, losing Hedl for the remainder of the season is a big blow for the Rangers, but New York has cap space and potentially the assets like Kakko to acquire a significant piece.
Guys, before the start of the NHL season, Phil Kessel made it really clear he wanted to come back and play, but the unrestricted free agent could not find a taker. Could we still see him come back and play this season, Pierre?
Yeah, I checked in on that here over the last day, and the answer is that he still absolutely hopes to catch on with an NHL team. He has not given up hope. His camp is still in contact with a couple of teams. One of the things that is in consideration here is that because he hasn't played since last year, that there might be a team or two that says, hey, come and skate with us for a bit so we can take a look at you and see where things are. He has been skating and trying to stay ready. But the answer is, after Zach Parise and Corey Perry found homes, could it be a hat trick with Phil Kessel finally finding a home before March 8th? We'll see.
Speaking of possible comebacks, we know Leafs D-man John Klingberg is out for the season because of hip issues, but he's only 31. So what's the plan there long term, Chris?
Well, nothing remains changed in terms of him being ready for this season, but what is changed is he is on the road to recovery now. John Klingberg had a bilateral hip resurfacing procedure done earlier this month, in New York. He's now working back towards what will be a long recovery process, kind of similar to the procedures that were done on Patrick Kane and Jesse Puljujarvi before they returned to pro hockey this year. And so for Klingberg, there's some uncertainty. He was only on a one-year deal with the Leafs, so he will be a free agent this summer. But he's a player that is going to try to work his way back once he gets to full health.
They are the Insiders, Chris Johnston, Pierre LeBrun, and Darren Dreger.